InnerCircle, we're back.
Yes, part 2.
And like we were talking about before, we're talking about how we met and how our spiritual life started and where we are now. So stay tuned and let's get right into it. So I'm gonna flip it around a little bit and just talk about how my spiritual journey started. So I was in my undergrad at University of South Florida. I originally met Julissa through a business fraternity that we shared. We grew very close, and I found that like with Julissa I could talk about like different things. And I remember like there was a part where I was just kind of like really down. I had just broke up with my boyfriend. Like I was going through like a lot of stuff, and Julissa, I remember she invited me to church and she was like, "Girl, this is the clap hands church." and she was like, "We need to go." And I was like, at a point where I was really hungry. I was just like, wow, like I need something different. You know, they always say if everything is going wrong, do something different to see the change that you get. And so she invited me to church, and we went to this church, and it's an apostolic church. And I remember like walking in, and I was just like, wow, like this is so different. Like you could literally feel the presence of God like in the house when you first came in. And like I remember sitting in, and the pastor, man, I promise you, like the message that he was delivering, he was coming at my neck. I was like, yo, why is he dragging me like this? And I had been baptized a long time ago when I was in Haiti, but I felt compelled, like I needed to get baptized again. Like if I really wanted to see change and like really follow God as I needed to, I needed to get baptized again. So my mom at first, she was like, "Girl, you were baptized when you were in Haiti." And I was like, "No, but I feel like I need to get baptized again." And so the second time we went back to church, went back again with Julissa, my mom, and I got baptized. And I just feel like after that day, well, a couple of things happened that were just like kind of crazy, but ultimately like I just felt like my life just completely changed. And then at our church we talk about receiving the Holy Ghost, which is basically God living in you. And that happened for me, and I just felt like my life just shifted. Like a lot of things like I used to do, I stopped doing them. And it wasn't like, I feel like in the past I wouldn't be able to do it on my own, but because like the Spirit of God was like there leading me, guiding me, I was able to do it. And then just from there, you know, it's just kind of been like growth. I think that where I am now in my spiritual journey, I think it's kind of like continuing to like learn more about God, learn more about myself, and just kind of learning more about like what his purpose is for me at this point. Because all like now more than ever, I'm saying, you know, when I leave this earth, I want to leave empty. I want to leave having delivered everything that he put inside of me that I needed to leave on this earth, that I want to leave it. And so that's just where I am right now in my, you know, in my faith, and, you know, continuing to grow. And as far as how we met, which is the second question. So like I said before, we met through a business fraternity, and then the rest of the girls, like we met through Club Creole, which is a club that we're at in college. And I think that once we all started coming to church, we all just kind of like started getting like really close, and just learning about kind of like where everyone was at, and just like everyone's personalities. And I'm just like, you know, just really grateful to have these women around me. It helps me to stay leveled, you know, and I'm grateful for that. So that's my little spiel. But yeah.
I guess I'll go next since, I guess it started, whatever. So similar to what Christine said, I met Christine through, an organization at USF. And we just clicked. Like, Christine was just, you feel me? Like, yeah, it was, I don't know, you know, like you meet people and, you know, it's just like, oh, you know, maybe. But there's those people that you meet and you're like, oh, okay, like me and you, we're gonna be good. So yeah, I just loved her spirit, you know what I'm saying? Like and she's Haitian, like, shout out to all the Haitians. You feel me? But like we just had so many things in common, so many things that we wanted to do, and she was such a free spirit, and I was just like, oh, like I love that about her or whatever. And she was just a great person to be around, and just in that time of my life, she was that friend that I needed. And I would really say that just as she said with her story that, you know, her mom started going to the church, I wasn't going to that church consistently. So kind of shifting into my spiritual walk. The church that she's talking about is New Life. I wasn't going to New Life consistently. I was actually going to a Haitian church prior to that. I was raised in the church, so traditional, Christian household. So I was, raised going to church. But when you come to college, you have so many experiences. You're introduced, I should say, to so many different things. And, although you may end up at church on Sunday morning, the rest of the extracurricular activities that you do throughout the week, as well as on Saturday night and Sunday morning, but you still end up on a pew on Sunday, and ultimately, looking back at it, that's just the foundation that God had already set for me. So although I was doing dirt, sometimes the Lord made sure that I was still on that pew on Friday. That transition for me happened, though. I actually got baptized at 19. I had just came to college, and I had been visiting this church, New Life, when I come down to Tampa. My sister was living here already. So when I would come down to Tampa, I'd come and, visit. That was her church at the time. I was visiting the church, and, when I came, again, at age 19, so I was here in Tampa, like I was actually in college. I went to church one Sunday with my cousin. Shout out to Tika. I went to church with my cousin one day, and it's very similar. We were out that night before, and we came to church, and it was just such a move of God. And I literally left the church, and in my spirit, I wanted to, be baptized. I wanted to be washed, but I don't know, something had kept me behind, and I didn't do it. And we're in the car having a conversation on the way back home from church. And I remember my cousin sharing, like, she really felt like, she should have got baptized. And I was like, yeah, I really feel like I should have did it as well. We never know what's going to happen to us. And as soon as my sister heard that, I thank God for my sister. She was like, oh no, we can't deny the water to you. Like, we have to go back. So we literally went back to the church, and it was crazy because when it's your time, it's just your time. And literally God, had made it so that there were still people at the church. The pastor was still there, and, we talked to him, and he was like, oh yeah, we're going to baptize you right now. So I actually got baptized at 19. And what's crazy about my spiritual journey is because at 19, I was washed, but I had to rededicate my life at 21. And looking back at it, at 19, yeah, I got baptized, and I just feel like God had to cover me, and spiritually, I just wasn't ready. That maturity was not there. You still want to experience college, and at 21, God was just like, that's enough. And when I can audibly hear God's voice tell me that that's enough, and that, I'm calling you now, and this is what I want you to do, that clarity that I got, and being able to just feel his spirit, it just changed my life. And a part of that was with consistency. So being able to go to the church consistently and having that person as accountability, which was Christine and her mom. Like, when I was not at church, Christine mama was calling me like, sis, like, where were you, So, that accountability piece really helped me with kind of getting my spirituality together. And like I said, at 21, God kind of just turned my life around. And then I got introduced to these two amazing people. I was actually in an organization that we just mentioned, Club Creole, and I was actually the external cat. We got a cat. Cut it right there.
No, you should do the cat.
Yeah. I was the external vice president of that organization, and I shared the big three position with Geraldine and Mishmana. And it's crazy because at first I was like, oh Lord.
Oh my God.
I didn't know what was, I knew I was supposed to be in that position. I knew I was supposed to be in that position of leadership, but at the same time, like, I didn't know how I was going to be with working with those two. They already knew each other. But it's just crazy because I got really close to them, of course, and, look at us now.
Yeah.
I had invited them to church, and it was just beautiful because they're a little bit younger than I am, and I got to see just how God just transformed their life and transformed their story. And I was so happy that I could be there as someone to hold, hold their hand, and someone, to talk to them and encourage them and be there for them. And I was so excited to finally have two people, who I could come to, and I could encourage, and they could encourage me, and we can just be transparent with each other. So it's just been such an amazing journey. And I think also to us coming together and just what God was already doing in the lives of all three of us, it translated into the organization. That organization was extremely successful while we were the big three. And I'm just so very grateful for that. That's kind of like where my spiritual journey, I guess, started. Where I am now, I am at peace, guys.
Yes.
I am really at peace with God. I'm so grateful because a lot of the time I question, why God did you baptize me at 19 but didn't, take me until 21? But I believe that that's my testimony. I believe those 2 years were things that God had to show me in order for me to be able to connect to others. I had people to meet. I had things to experience. And those are the things that make my journey or make my testimony what it is. So I'm just so very grateful. 2020 is going to be an amazing year. God has given me so much peace. And yeah, I'm just in awe of God. Like, I asked for relationship last year, and God really gave me relationship with him. And yeah, I'm just really in a place of peace. I'm just ready to see what God has next for me, and who else is going to be touched by what it is that we're doing right now. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
So I guess I'll go off of what Julissa said. So how my spiritual journey started. So I was raised in the church. I was raised by a mother that was a prayer warrior, and we went to church every Sunday. We went to prayer service every Tuesday. Like, we were deep into the church, and I always considered myself spiritual, and I knew God. But again, when I started college, I wanted to live a life that I never lived before, because I grew up in a strict Haitian household. Like, when I'll tell you I couldn't do anything. It was l'école, l'église, it was home, church, and school, and that's it. And when my parents were so strict about that. And I'm blessed to have parents that were so spiritual and strict, because I was raised in a great household and I learned so many things. But at the same time, I wanted to experience life. So when I got to college, I was like, ooh, it's lit. So I took myself out of my comfort zone, because I tend to be really quiet and reserved, and I'm blessed to have Nelly, because Nelly was the one that kind of took me out that comfort zone, in a good way though. But then I wanted more, so I started going out, just doing things I wasn't regularly doing. And then again, I became the internal vice president for Club Creole, which led me to meeting Julissa. And I'm not gonna lie to you guys, when I first met Julissa, I was kind of skeptical, kind of scared, because she was out of my comfort zone, out of what my friends are normally like, I guess I can say, without being offensive in any way. I'm not gonna lie to you, I already knew Geraldine. So I was like, dang, Gigi, I'm kind of scared, I don't know her, yes. I was like, I don't know how this is gonna go, but by the grace of God, it will go. And we all had a vision, for Club Creole, which made our heads just collide so great. We did so many great things, because we had a plan, we had a vision, and that vision helped us to get to where we wanted to be, even if we weren't always in agreement. But at first I was scared of Julissa. I was like, Jesus, I don't know, but you'll make a way. But after getting to know her and doing so many things and having to handle stressful situations with her, I was like, dang, I'm so blessed that she was in my life. May 2018, I graduated college. I graduated from USF.
Go Bulls.
And go Bulls. Okay. And honestly, it was a big achievement for me. I'm a first generation college student, and I'm also the first child to graduate with my bachelor's, so it was a big deal. But I graduated, but I was lost. I wasn't sure what was next for me. And I never felt like that before. I'm usually the type of person that has a plan, okay, I'm gonna graduate, this is what I'm gonna do, this. But for the first time ever, I was just lost, and I wasn't sure what was next for me. So I graduated, and I was like, you know what? I remember talking to Christy and talking to Nelly and Gigi, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna start going out. I'm gonna start doing things I've never done before. So I was buying tickets for different events. I was like, I'm gonna get lit, because I was too scared to do certain things while I was still in college. But I'm like, I'm free now. I'm like, there's nothing holding me back. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna start going to these events. Yeah, you remember? I was legit buying tickets, and I would text everyone and be like, okay, so who's going with me? Christy was buying tickets with me. Yeah, Gigi don't do stuff like that. But I had a ticket for each weekend event that all the orgs at USF hell, and I was ready to
No,
go.
she really did.
Like all of them, no joke. I had tickets for all of them. I was ready to go. I'm like, I'm gonna have fun. Like that was never my scene, but I wanted to get out of my comfort zone and just have fun because I wasn't doing anything. I had nothing holding me back. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna start. And I remember I met with Christine one day, and we were just talking, and then I already went to church actually. First, Julissa invited me to church during our term as vice president. She invited me and Gigi to church, and that's where I got baptized. I got baptized October 8th, 2017. I was 20 years old, and it was a blessing. I got baptized, but I didn't go back to the church. I didn't go back to the church. But then I think it was June of 2018. I don't know. I met with Christine, and we were just talking, and she's like, "You should come to New Life." And I'm like, "I've been already. Julissa invited me. I got baptized there." She's like, "Oh, really? You should come again." And I was like, "Okay, sure." So Julissa picked me up. She brought me to church. Chris was there, and we were like just worshiping. And the church was a different element for me because although I grew up in the church, this church is like lit. Like it's different. Like I don't know. It's just so different, and I really love it. And I went back to church, and Julissa, like both Julissa and Chris, kept encouraging us to go to church on Sunday night. They had Bible study on Monday, Wednesday night service, prayer on Saturday. So we went, and then Gigi started coming with me, and it got to the point Julissa was always driving us, so after every service we would just sit in a car and talk. And I remember it was me, Julissa, and Gigi. We were just talking about our lives and what was going on. And I remember just like telling her like how I was kind of lost, and she was like speaking encouragement into me. And then I think it was another night we went to service, and then we went back in the car just talking again. Like we had a lot of car talks.
Yes.
Like everything comes out in car talks.
Yes, that's true.
So we were talking again, and I remember we were just like, I think we just need to focus on our walk with Christ, like just like taking that leap of faith and just following Him and what He has in store for us. And I was like, you know what? I think that's true too. So I went back to my other group of friends, Christy, Nelly, Gigi, and some of the other girls I knew. And I was like, you know what, ladies? Like, I know I told you guys I wanted to do all this during the summer, but God's telling me no. Like, God's telling me no. Like, He's telling me that I have to, like, follow Him. It got to a point where I was supposed to go to Orlando for, like, this weekend event. And God put, like, like I had a vision that if I went, He was telling me not to go, but I had a vision that if I went, I was going to get in a car accident. And if you know me, like I think that's kind of fear. Like I'm not really comfortable with driving. Like I'm a good driver. Don't laugh at me. I'm a good driver, but I'm don't blame me. I'm a good driver. Like relax. I'm a good driver, but I've always been scared to get in car accidents. So like I legit had a vision that if I went to those events in Orlando, I was going to get in a car accident. And I remember telling Julissa, and she's like, if you see that's God telling you something, don't go. And I was like, okay. So I told my group of friends, and I was just like, yeah, I don't think I can go to these events. Like we did buy these tickets, but God's telling me I can't go. So like I really need to start like being more serious about my spiritual life. And they were like, yeah, we agree, and I've been feeling this way too. And we're like, okay. So I remember going on like group meets and stuff, selling all the tickets because you know I paid for them, so I wanted my money back. So I was selling all my tickets, and I was like, okay, I'm not going to any of the events, and just started taking my spiritual journey like more seriously. And like it's not always easy, but I know that God's elevating me and transforming me, and I love every step of the way. Yes. Like there's people that I would consider, like I thought was gonna be in my life forever, but God said no, you know, just because of the choices I've made, or to choose that. Me choosing to be closer to Him and walk with Him. But you know, God has something better in store for me, for all of us. And I'm really thankful for these young individuals, these young women that have poured so much into me. Even when I fell, they were still able to pick me up and lift me. Even when I thought I wasn't worthy of the love, like God has provided, they were still able to pray for me. And I tend to keep so many things in, like I will die with certain secrets, but God has placed these girls in my life to be able to be like, you know what, like I wasn't gonna tell anyone this, but God told me to tell you this, and it's helped to like just for me mentally to be able to tell people like what I'm going through and have them understand and not judge me, because judgment is real and it can hold us back from our purpose. So I would say currently where I'm at currently with my work of God is legit just walking in the purpose He has for my life. I've always felt as if God has placed something so big inside of me. It's just I'm holding myself back because I'm not connecting to Him fully. And the moment I really build a strong relationship with God and understanding what He has for my life, like what I was meant to do on this earth is crazy, and I know I'll impact so many lives. So I'm just walking in purpose, understanding God's vision for my life, His plans for my life, and fulfilling those visions and taking action. So like 2020 is definitely a year where crazy things are going to happen. Like I'm not sure what's gonna happen, but I already know God has told me like there's things coming, and I'm so happy for what God's going to do in my life and all these young ladies' lives. So
she's saying
yes. I didn't know my word, and I came back to the States and I was like, something has to change. Like something's not right. My spirit was deprived, and no matter how many things I would take in or fill up my time with different things, I was still starved because my starvation could not be quenched with materialistic things.
Boom, bam, bop, bada bop, boom, pow.